keynote, so no. First off, I'd like to thank everybody for coming into Chicago. I'm local here, so we're glad to have you all here. And hope you really enjoy our city and enjoy the Central Jam in the next few days. If you're not meeting tomorrow, we have a little bit of a fun run going on out here. Just friends and family getting together. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to introduce you guys to Stratten, an author and president of Marketing. If you don't know him, or don't know of him, he's kind of a big deal. He's just recently named one of the top 5 influencers on Twitter with more than 140,000 followers, leading up there with visionaries such as Kuchar, Bieber, and Diddy. His previous book, On Marketing, Stop Marketing, Start Engaging, was actually a bestseller before it was released, which is something that's pretty impressive. And his new book, QR Codes Kill Kittens, is also a bestseller, as well as the recipient of the newly formed, the inaugural recipient of the newly formed Andrew Downey Award for a book title which will take off 9-year-old girls. My daughter told me that about 5 minutes ago. So with that, I'd just like to thank you again for coming in. Please visit us, Terry. We'd love to chat with you guys about what it is we do, and introduce Scott Stratten to come and entertain us with his rants.
Canadian, so I'm supposed to be friendly. Let's get this out of the way. I'm out. What else? You don't say hey, I will kick you in the face. Nobody in Canada actually says hey. But I will apologize for that, yes. So thank you for that. It's awesome to be here. I was at Vegas last year for a standing room only grant. That was awesome. Manage your room held 8 people, so I didn't want to say. But in the theory, the data shows those things are only. So if you got here early enough, you got the book. Here is the only business picture book I know about. If you flip it over to the back, the author photo is me holding a kitten with an awkward look on my face. The reason why is 10 seconds after we took the photo, the cat jumped on my face. Seriously. And my favorite part of this book, I guess, other than all the pictures, is the back cover. There are testimonials that no one has ever said. I wrote them all, so enjoy that. So yeah, it's all pictures. It's pretty awesome. And if you appear in it as your brand, I apologize for that. So anyway, that's all in the show, and show what we got. So you'll understand why I say this one. So we came with kittens. That kitten, by the way, which is on the cover of the book, is the best $42 I ever spent on iStock. I just searched sad kitten, and it came up. Now I spent $42 on it to have extended rights, so I need to leave it on the screen a little longer than I should for a positive ROI. Okay, that's good. So, we're in that, right? And give good exposure to these other things. So, what my world comes under, and you heard that mentioned about On Marketing, that was the first book. That's my company, that's the website, the Twitter name, it's the Facebook name. On Marketing is my world. It's marketing without the way we think we market. It's what I do. None is everything in my world. On the left-hand side of the screen here, you see what we think is marketing in my marketing circles and in our industry. It's the logo, it's the brand identity, it's what we think we do. And on the right-hand side of the screen, here's what actually marketing is. That's Joshy. Joshy's a poorly stuffed giraffe. And Joshy was left at the Ritz-Carlton, Amelia Island in Florida, great resort. Spoken to that there like 9 months ago. I'm so fortunate. This is all I do, by the way. This is my job now. We don't do client work. I don't want anybody's business here. I just couldn't care less. All I do is this. Okay? I have nothing to sell you except that I'm angry at things. That's all you need to get today. There's no back end here. There's no upsell. All I do is this. I rant around the world. I'm so fortunate. I was just in Istanbul. We did New Delhi, Amsterdam. Can't talk about it. Just go. Just go. Not a DMA there. And we'll just go there. And I'll do it for nothing. That's all we go for too. So, Joshy was left at the Amelia Island by a family there, the kid obviously left Joshy there, he forgot it, he lost him, and they got home and they realized they don't have him anymore. What happens if your kid loses their favorite thing? Anybody here have kids that you know about? You know, say 22 and important law, right? Okay, so you know what happens. It's like if you lost your phone. Yes? It's the same panic, right? Look at some faces like, yeah, no good. I got it. I once asked a room full of parents, which would be worse, if you lost your phone at the mall or you lost your kid? You all hesitated. You all hesitated there, right? It's your kid doesn't have your address book or your calendar, so it's tough call. So Joshy left, so the father did what any father would do, and he lied to his son. And he said that Joshy's on an extended vacation at the Ritz-Carlton, which is a great story until you realize you have to back it up and get him back. And so they found Joshy at the Ritz-Carlton. He was rolled up in the laundry and the sheets. And they found him, and they located him. And I think that's enough amazing of a story to let that go, and that's it. But it's not the end of the story. But it could be, because that's amazing on its own. Somebody found it and said, somebody needs this back. Not only did they find Joshy and overnight him back, not only did they not charge the family, since he was on an extended vacation, they sent back photos of the extended vacation. Is Joshy enjoying the spa? It's the cucumbers that make a shot, yeah? Right? Joshy by the pool. It's the shades that make it, of course. Joshy at the bar, meeting new friends. That dolphin is inappropriate. Tonight, at the open function tonight, don't be the inappropriate dolphin, okay? And if you're standing in your little marketer's circle and you don't spot the inappropriate dolphin, you're the inappropriate dolphin. This is a little piece of life advice from here, from me to you. Okay, this is Joshy working in loss prevention because he had to earn his stay, and now that he's an employee of the Ritz-Carlton, they had to give him an ID badge. His freaking name on it. They took Joshy the photos, the name badge, and a letter from the GM, and they overnighted it back to the family. What's one word that describes this to you? Awesome, amazing, ridiculous. What do you think the father did when he got this package? Other than change his pants. What did he do? What did he do? He told everybody. He posted pictures. He posted to Facebook. He blogs about it. He tweets about it. He's something more relatable to our industry. He faxes it to people. Do I press 9 first? No? Okay. You're going to love this when it goes through. Right? But he just tells everybody. That's the secret. I've been in word of mouth and viral marketing for almost 15 years. And the only secret is there isn't one. There isn't one. You want word of mouth? You want a trend on Twitter? I'm not going to give you the best words to put in your tweet. I'm not going to talk about putting pictures on Facebook so they can share more. You want to get stuff shared, trending, going viral? You do things worth talking about. That's marketing, isn't it? If we break it down and take away our self-importance and our fanciness of our industry, isn't that marketing? People telling other people about the brand? Yes, that's all it is. And we need to do things that create stories that people tell other people with no payment, with no bribing, with no incentive, except that's awesome. That's why we share those stories. He blogged about it. Did I mention he blogs for the Huffington Post? I didn't say that, did I? Yeah, only a few jillion people read this thing. Now, Chris Carlton didn't do it because he blogs for them. I think if you're only awesome to people who are influential, you're not awesome at all. Right? You're elitist and it doesn't work. But here's the problem in marketing. We think this matters. We think this is where we earn our keep. The logo. Right? Anybody here ever designed or been a part of a committee that influenced the logo or changed it? Hands up. You'll never get that time of your life back. Okay? Ever. Nobody in the history of the earth, outside of this room in our industry, ever cared about a logo. Except you and the person who designed it. Nobody cares. Nobody's ever gone to the Ritz-Carlton and said, the event was too hard, the room was overpriced, and the room service was cold, but did you see the logo? It's got very strong lines in it. I agree with their font choice. But do you understand the back channel talk when this logo was created? How long? Can't guess how long this must have created for this Ritz-Carlton one. A year? Maybe 2? If you've ever designed, you know how long this stuff takes, right? They were a left-facing lion argument, a right-facing lion argument, a tongue-out argument, the conservative tongue-in argument. The sub-font arguments were epic. All caps, not all caps. Sans serif, sans about Comic Sans. It was all over the place. 6 designers in the room got that joke. Good, okay, good. Comic Sans one. It doesn't matter. Which way is that line supposed to be facing in the actual Ritz-Carlton logo? To the left or to the right? You know what the answer is? I don't know. And I don't care. You know who should design logos? Designers. That's who should design logos. We should keep our hands out of things, or we're giving input for the sake of giving input. That's what we do in marketing too much. People who cannot coordinate their own clothing in the morning give visual advice on logos. And then if it's a rebrand, look out! Rebrand is Latin for more money. That's what that is. That's how that works, all right? It doesn't matter. The logo has to represent something. It has to look good. But all the logo does is triggers what stories you know about the brand. Who do I know? Have I used that brand before? What did I experience? So what we experience is what's important to the brand. We don't write the brand statements. We don't write the mission statement. We write them, but we don't write the real one. You want your brand statement? You ask your client. You want your brand statement? You ask the consumer. You ask the customer. And whatever they say, that's the brand. It's not what we say. We have to influence that. That's what the Ritz-Carlton is to me, is Josh. It's not their brochures. It's not the $1 billion in advertising. It's none of this stuff. It's this story. Because it means more to us. It carries more weight. There's more trust involved in it. This is what spreads. Nobody's ever said, now they've changed their logo, the brand values make so much more sense to me. We don't say this. No human's ever said this. This is a great site, by the way. Go to things real people don't say about advertising. It's a Tumblr page. You'll spend 9 hours on there laughing and then crying because you realize it's your life. When you deal with this all the time. And this is the issue. When I get into actual dealing with what carries and what doesn't, I want to deal with some social media stuff because that's my world. I have about 160,000 followers on Twitter, 18,000 people like the Unmarketing Facebook page. I got 12 or 13,000 people who have circled me in Google+. I don't know what that means, but it's fancy. I have 8,000 contacts on LinkedIn. I have 4 friends in real life. Really, right? I have 2,000 Facebook friends. I know 6 people in total. 2 I don't like, 4 I do. And that's pretty much my world, right? For me, Facebook is talking to people from high school I didn't like. LinkedIn is talking to people I used to work with I didn't like. That's pretty much what social media is to me. Yes? That's pretty much what it is. And Twitter is where I follow what Bieber's doing. That's pretty much how it all works for me. But here's the problem with data. Here's an example of a chart that says the occurrence of the word please. And what's this saying is, you know, in just under 6% of retweets, the word please is in them. Okay, versus just under 0.5% of brand tweets. What this means here, what the whole justification of what Dan Zarella, the guy who wrote this, who calls himself a social media scientist, what he says here is if you use the word please in your tweets, more likely to get retweeted. This hurts my soul. This hurts the very nature of my being, is that if you want something retweeted, you say something worth sharing. And the problem with this, and the problem with the causation or correlation of data in this thing is we don't actually see the context of the please. If you say, look, this child is dying of cancer, please retweet. It didn't get shared because somebody said please. The problem with surface data and social is you don't see the layers. You need to be careful with that. I love data. I'm a huge geek. I love data. I love split testing and correlation. I love everything about data. But the problem is we take headline data and think that's the cause of these things. Please doesn't make something retweeted. Say something worthy of sharing gets retweeted, gets shared. I've seen the reason, like Facebook. You've seen the studies with Facebook that a photo is 6 times more likely to get shared than just a status. Again, that's a misleader of data. Okay, we're sharing photos because they're awesome, or they're horrible, or something behind it. If you put a picture of an orchard and you share your latest launch of a product, it doesn't do anything for it. That's the point, okay? It's the data I don't want you to use surface data. I've seen the data that Facebook groups have been killed because Facebook makes you pay now, and 6% of your audience, your business audience on Facebook will ever see your post. You've seen the data like that? Very minuscule. People are like, it's changed, it's terrible. It's not. On average, 60% of my 18,000 fans or likes, whatever you want to call them, see every post I make. Why? Because I don't post anything unless I have something important to say that they want to need to read, to consume, to share. I don't post crap. That's the difference. When I look at somebody and say, I only have 2% of my fans that will see my stuff, I look at their page and it's all ads. It's all me. It's all self-serving. And that's where the stat works. Only a certain percentage of people will see it. Because it's entering. It's the old algorithm of Facebook says, if people like it, more people will see it. That's how we work this. That's how it works. Share content worthy of being shared. That's how Facebook works. Like I said, that's average. A lot of my posts go over and above my number of likes or fans because the content is shared. Again, it's back to word of mouth. Here's another stat you may want to watch out for. It's my stat. I say 82% of my tweets are replies. Just 2 weeks ago, I sent my 100,000th tweet. I've done the work on Twitter, so I know what works. But here's the key. I know what works for me. That's the difference. I'm me on Twitter. I'm on marketing. I'm my own brand. I have no boss. I have nobody to answer to, and I can say whatever the heck I want. And when you see this stat, you think, well, that's the secret. But even my replies have changed. This stat has stayed between 75 and 85% my entire existence on Twitter. But back in the old days, 2009, back in the day, the old school days with no beaver, no Ashton Kutcher, we were just there to talk to each other. My replies back then were different. They were self-initiated, meaning I saw somebody talking and I talked to them. Now, all my tweets are actually just people tweeting at me and I reply to them. Does that make sense? I'm not initiating the conversation anymore, I'm just reacting now. And that's not the key to Twitter. Reacting is not the key to Twitter. But you see this stat, you think that's the secret, and it's not. The secret to Twitter is to understand that Twitter's a conversation, not a dictation. That it only works when you're involved in it, active and current and quick and immediate. It has changed. When you see these stats on Twitter, be very careful what might work for you. The example here, 100,000 tweets equals 170,000 followers for me, and you can do the math. One tweet for every 1.7 followers. Right, but it doesn't work. I've seen people tweet 100,000 times, literally, and have 3,000 followers. Volume means nothing. Please means nothing in a tweet. It's what we're saying, how we're saying it. A reply to people creates a relationship, but getting retweeted creates new followers. That's how it works. It's always worked like that on Twitter. Right? If you have an existing platform, it's even better. Here's another thing about Google Plus, which is I mentioned in this book. I'm pretty indifferent to Google Plus. I hate Google Plus, and it's not the right word. Despise it, maybe, I guess, would be. It makes me angry. So what happens is I went there, and like I said, I have like 13,000 people circle me on there. I just don't know why I'm there, ever. I just sit there and go, okay, and then I go home. Like I leave. It's like going to a mandatory event. Like I'm here, I've got to go, and I walk out the door. It's the same thing from everybody else on great platforms. It's connected. And I saw a stat come out, and everybody showed it to me. They're like, see? Google Plus is amazing. And they came out, marketers took the headline down and said 60% of Google Plus users signed in every day. And I'm like, whoa. 60% of people don't even eat every day. Like, I don't know how you were thinking this stat works. And we dug deeper, and that's not the stat. The stat is 60% of Google users, I'm not even done, 60% of Google users use a Google service every day who also happen to have a Google Plus account that they most likely never set up themselves. That's a lot of words though. So why don't we just say this, right? The stat is every time I use a Google service, like I don't know, Google, or YouTube, two small, insignificant sites that account for the majority of internet traffic. If I use those, or Gmail, small usage maybe, if I use any of these things, it counts as a Google Plus login. Why? Because they say Google Plus is a layer, not a social media site. You know what layer means in Latin? Bullshit. That's what it means. It's a layer. No, what the layer means is we automatically log you into it. So we can count it as a login. Every Gmail account that's created automatically gets a Google Plus account. You don't know what that means. We don't need to extend the falsification of data. We do not need to trump things up. I see it so often. We have a chance to make things right in data and PR and marketing because we've messed it up for decades. We messed up the old pass-along thing, remember the magazine subscriptions? Here's our circulation numbers. It counts as one person buying it and passing it to 4 people. What? This happens somewhere? Because you pretend somebody leaves it on a bus and 4 strangers pick it up? It doesn't happen. Maybe the copy of Self in my dentist office from '87 has been read 4 times. Maybe. But we have a chance now because we have the data to prove it. And you know what we're doing? We're screwing it up. We talked about hashtags on Twitter and how much they reached. And we do a thing last week and we go to the sponsor and say, we had a reach of 1 million people on Twitter with the hashtag. And that's lying. Because how they do the reach data on Twitter is if I tweet something and I have 150,000 followers, and I tweet something or I reply 10 times with that hashtag, 1.5 million people I've reached. You know how many people I actually reached with that? 7. 9 maybe, that people actually saw it. But we're taking the number and multiplying it and saying, look, and then our sponsor wonders why they had 7 clicks on their link with 17 million people it was exposed to. We're screwing up the data, we're exaggerating data when we're in a time and place we don't need to and we shouldn't. We're doing a disservice to clients, to the industry when we exaggerate data. We don't need to do it. We need to say one thing, is it working for us? Is it working for our clients? And if so, what are we doing with it? That's it. The biggest abandonment of brand social pages is on Google+. Because brands got on there because people who were, like people in this room said, it's a new social site, it's part of Google, we need to be on it. And they got on there and they said, why are we here? Dormant brand pages are the biggest on Google+. Why? Because we thought we should be there. You don't do things because you're supposed to, you do things because it makes sense from what you're looking at and saw. I saw a study, okay, on the best time to email clients, newsletter subscribers. You see these studies, right? The best time. You tell me what this study said, okay? Was it A, 12 a.m. to 3 a.m., B, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m., C, 12 p.m. to 3 p.m., or D, 5 p.m. to 8 p.m.? Which one do you guys think? A, B, C, or D? The answer is all of them. There's 4 different studies that came out within a month, and this was the answer in each study. I am not exaggerating here. So the answer is any time, except 3:30 p.m. Bad time. Bad time. I don't know, that's like a black hole email. Right? There is no good. You know the good time is when you send out data and then you test it and you split test it and you see when your open rates are happening and your click-through rates. The best data is yours. Right? There is no right answer here. There is no right answer. The best time to send an email is when you have something to say and then your list wants to read it. That's the point. We're doing this right now. We just launched a new podcast. It's called The Unpodcast. And it's me and Alison sitting back there. And it's me yelling and her telling me to calm down pretty much the entire podcast. But people tell us, you have to put it out weekly. It has to be this long. You have to do this. And like, you don't have to do anything. We posted our first episode ever. We are so proud. It's like a book, right? You get so proud. It's from your heart. You launch it. And we launched the first Unpodcast. We're like, oh, so good. Here it is. And we put it out there. And the first comment on the page on unmarketing.com was, I haven't listened to it yet, but 56 minutes? Come on. 56 minutes? That was the whole comment? I didn't know what to do. I wanted to punch her right in the face. It's like saying, I haven't read the book yet, but 60,000 words? Really? I haven't seen your painting, but you use red? I'm not sure. Stop it. Right? You put out content because you want to consume it. You put out things because it wants to be shared, and that's how it works. Not some artificial rule. But you know why we put this out there? Because we think that's the problem. Not that we put out a crappy newsletter nobody wants to read, but we sent it at the wrong time. Oh, that's why we're getting a 1% open rate. We sent it at 3:30. If we just sent it on 2:30 in another place at Tuesdays, not Wednesdays, that would increase it to 1.1%. Maybe the problem is the content. Maybe, but we don't want to blame ourselves. We don't want to think it's the time, it's the service, it's a blacklist that happens, it's this, it's not us. It is us. It is our content. We need to look at that content. Is it self-serving or is it consumer-serving? Is it self-serving or is it reader-serving? That's the difference. And this brings me to my favorite thing in the history of mankind, QR codes. It's not awkward at all that my wonderful sponsor today has a QR code on the brochure on the table at all. At all. It's going to be a good day, though. So with marketers, here's our problem. We have this bright, shiny object syndrome in marketing. We have to be in the next, it's like a Jack Russell frickin' Terrier jumping up and down and a squirrel running down the street and we have to run after them, or a squirrel on a Jack Russell Terrier. And so you look at it and say, we need to use QR codes. Well, why? I don't know. We need to use them. Oh, okay, let's do it. This is a QR code made of Oreo cookies. Okay? Don't scan it. Focus here. Stay with me. Okay, stay with me right now. So, but this is the problem. I don't actually, it actually says it in the book, okay? I don't have a problem with QR codes themselves. I actually like the idea of them. I think the theory is great. I'm a huge geek. We're huge. Any other geeks in the room? Online, late 90s maybe? Early 2000s, yeah? We'll hang out on ICQ later on? Maybe? Yes? Oh, we'll do a little hello on it? Good, alright. IRC chat. There are only a couple of Uber geeks in the room, we'll do that one. So, I love apps and gadgets and everything else. I love new tech, but not one the market's not ready for. Okay, QR codes have a lot of potential. And potential is what I had as a teenager. Okay? I didn't know what that meant until I became a parent. And my mom used to always say Scott has a lot of potential. I didn't know what that meant. And what it means is potential means you suck now. Yes? Yes? I can see the parents in the room like, yeah, that's my kid right there, yeah, that's the one, yeah. What she's saying in code is, one day Scott might amount to something that doesn't involve the word parole, and we're going to be really proud of him. That was me. QR codes have potential, but we're messing them up. We're messing them up as marketers, okay? I've seen QR codes on billboards on the side of the freeway. What do you want me to do here? There's like 5 of them in the book you'll see on roadways with QR codes. I saw a QR code in Ottawa, the fine capital city of my country, by the RCMP, that's our federal police. There's a billboard that says, don't text and drive. And it has a QR code on it. That's entrapment. Can't do that. Okay, you can't go to that, it's not fair. I've seen QR codes in airline magazines. On the flight here, on the United flight here, magazines rife with QR codes, right? When do you read airline magazines? You're taking off, and when you're landing. When can you not use your phone? Taking off, and when you're landing, right? Or in the sky with no Wi-Fi, maybe, right? I had somebody at a marketing event, actually, not the event, but a marketing event, put up his hand in front and goes, from an agency, obviously, put up his hand and goes, people take those magazines home with them, Scott. Only very lonely people take airline magazines home. If that's your demographic, then go ahead, right? Go nuts with it. But don't tell me people use it. Stop doing things like this. Which is an airplane dragging a QR code banner behind it. One of you in this room approved this, by the way. We'll figure this out one day of who did this, okay? I've seen QR codes in email. No, okay, I'll do a visual. Let's do this. Ready?
Con el S, ¿no?
Okay.
El código ID, ¿no? Que nadie...
The email comes here, right, in my phone. With me? We all on the same page? I'm going to go for a move here, so you ready? The camera that scans the code is back here.
Es que este se está...
Work with me here.
Porque en España no se atreve nadie,
This
¿sabes?
is
En
some
España...
sort of Jedi. I'm unscanned and then go. I had another person at the event put up his hand and go, some people get their emails on their computers. Well, then I'm already on the computer. Give me something easier to get to your site. Like, I don't know, a link that I can click. Nobody's ever opened a link and said, what's that? Do I smell it? I don't know what to do with it. Right? I don't understand. I've seen QR codes on websites. And I scanned them. Do you know where they take you? Back to the website. Stop it. Every time somebody scans a QR code on the website and takes it back to the site, a kitten dies. That's where the phrase comes from the book, okay? That's where you know it comes from. He wrote the book as a gift book that you can give your boss. I am not one. So when I sign books afterwards, I will write anything you want me to your boss. Anything. You just tell me what you want and I will write it for you. You did this to stop the insanity. Stop doing things like this, which is a mall with a Facebook sticker on the door with a QR code beside it. Makes sense, yes, it makes sense because when you scan Facebook, you scan it, it goes to a mobile-friendly page, it makes a lot of sense. Mobile, the majority of people access it on their phone. It makes total sense, it's perfect sense. Except when you go up to scan it, the door opens!
Es que verdad.
Outwards! Into my hands! It says, scan the QR code, keep clear!
Ay,
Keep clear!
esto es muy fuerte, ¿eh? Este tío es brutal.
Right? Think before you do this, which is the QR pet tag. This is a cute pug dog with a tag on his head. Look at the size of the tag. It's the size of his head. So here's the theory. Your cute pug dog or your psychotic cat. Look at the cat. There's 387 breeds of cat in this world. That's the one you went with. The hairless cat of Satan. Congratulations. Congratulations. So here's the theory. Your cute pug dog gets lost or your Satan's cat gets lost. Walking down the street, you're supposed to walk up to it, grab it by the neck, pull out your phone, scroll through your 72 pages, you geek on your phone, until you find the app, initialize it, all the while holding the animal down. Scan it, focus the scanner and scan it. Have you ever held down a duck? No. Have you ever held down a cat? It will kill you. Let me give you want data? Here's my data room. You want data? I'll give you data, okay? 85% of people in North America have a cell phone. Half of those phones are capable of scanning a QR code. 17% of those people have ever scanned a QR code. And 50% of those people were ever successful and would ever scan one again. For a grand cash and prize total of 3.6% of people in North America would save your dog or psycho cat walking by. What else could we put on that pet tag that would allow us to contact us through a mobile device? I don't know, a phone number? 99% of people with phones can dial the phone up there. Think of the kittens. Think of the pets. Think before you let your pet go free. Let this stuff happen, okay? Please, I beg of you. As an example of a bus in Atlanta, there's a scan here to view the emergency room wait time. All over the place in the ER. Because you just rear-ended the bus! And somebody else in the audience go, that's not the people driving, Scott, that's the people walking. Who's walking behind buses in Atlanta? Get close enough to scan this thing! Stop it! Look how much space it takes up on the ad. Stop doing this. You're hurting my soul. It hurts me deeply. We need to think. We need to think before we QR. I understand. I like the idea. I told you this, okay? But every time somebody scans a QR code and it doesn't work, they're less likely to scan the next one. Does that make sense? We're hurting our own industry. Look at the stat. 50% of people who actually tried to scan it were successful and would use it again. We are 50%, and in our industry and in digital, we think this is a cheering point. Half the time it works. What? If websites only worked half the time, we wouldn't have an internet. If you worked half the time, you wouldn't have a job. This is success? No, it should be easy. It should be simple, but I saw a QR code on a banana, and I scanned it. And it says, scan here for smoothie recipes, and up pops a video where it says, sorry, not playable on a mobile device. The only thing that scans the QR code is a mobile device. Nobody's taking their PC and flipping it upside down. Thinking your smoothie recipe, this thing. It's the only thing in marketing we know exactly what people are doing. They're using a mobile device to scan it to get it to us. What should we do? Make it work, make it mobile friendly, and make it actionable so we can do something with it. It's basic marketing 101, and we're messing that up. Look at my face. It hurts. It hurts putting these books, but it hurts. It hurts me. If you're going to do something on a truck, do like a shadow book company in Kansas City does. And not only do they have a website and a Twitter name, but they also put in case of accident, please have cookies ready, lots and lots and lots of cookies. That's smart. They have an ice cream campaign right now that says, ice cream, you scream, the police come, it's awkward. Amazing, right? Amazing. I was talking to them, and you know the reason why it goes so well? Is because they have an ad agency that they listen to, and they let them do it. And that's kudos to the client trusting the ad agency. And you know what happens with the back of this truck? People share it and spread it. And now I want to go have ice cream in Kansas City. I live in Toronto and I want to do a road trip for ice cream. That's what isn't that marketing? People sharing this sign and doing it. How many people share QR codes on the backs of trucks? Unless it's in books. Who else does that? Nobody. Great stuff worth sharing because branding is in real time. And I have a huge problem with, with the airline, I won't name them, but I had a problem with them. And I thought we took that there. One of my favorite cities in the world, I absolutely love New York City. I really do. I love so much about it. But I hate their airports. I hate JFK, I hate LaGuardia. I fly for a living, that's pretty much what I do. So, New York's got better actually, but JFK and LaGuardia, I can't deal with it. So I get to JFK, Delta's hub in New York, and I get there like a big Canadian, like 3 days early for my flight. And I get in line, and I'm doing the Canadian thing, I'm handing out maple syrup, and I'm like, no, what are you talking to boots? And I'm handling different donuts, honey crullers, and talking about Wayne Gretzky and all this stuff. We're going through, and about 20 minutes into it, they start allowing people to skip the line who are late. Right? So you've been to the airport when this happens, right? So I hit stage 1 Canadian anger, which is passive aggressive politeness. And I'm like, oh, please go ahead. And you're like, yes, of course, no. I was there late. You can go ahead. Yeah, that's fine. I know there's traffic. I know. Who would have thought there was traffic? In New York City! Yeah, go ahead, please, after you. And they keep going, and I finally get to the front of the corral, the cow line, get in, and I get to the security, and I get naked, put it in the bucket, and I get going through. And just then, the dance of the flight attendants happens. You ever been there for this? Yeah. When they show up and they just whisk through everything, right? And I understand why. It's beautiful, it's majestic, it's like Cirque du Soleil. And they show up, it's lovely. I understand why, but they need to understand something. The first rule of Flight Club, okay? The plane will not leave without you. It will leave without me. Right? So I understand your priority, but if I'm at the security, actually at the metal detector, simmer down for a second, okay? And they're bumping up against me. Literally, they're bumping and they're throwing the buckets over mine, not exaggerating, over mine onto the conveyor belt. Right? And they're bumping against, I don't care who you are, I don't care where you're from, I don't care how much money you got, or who you work for, that does not excuse common courtesy. Okay, please, thank you, excuse me. My mom raised me right. I'm a good Canadian that way. And we got to keep these things in mind. So by the 7th person who's bumped me out of the 9 of the flight attendants, by the 7th person, I am no longer Canadian. And I hit stage 12, Canadian anger, which is swearing. And I turned to him, and I apologize to tear that, I want to apologize for swearing. But I turned to him, and I look at her, and I say the 2 words Canadians should never say. I look at her and I say, come on! I said, come on, sorry. Like, this Canadian swearing, that's how we do it. I'm like, come on, and she turns to me, she's like, what? And I said, not one excuse me from anybody. And she looks at me and goes, I said excuse me. With Delta. I don't know, Delta. And I see it, and I'm like, I didn't hear anybody say excuse me. And she looks at me and goes, well then open your ears.
Oh.
Do you know who I am? And she turns, and she walks away saying, I said excuse me, I said excuse me, I said excuse me. I believe people are your brand. End of story. Okay, people do more on a brand than we could do in a marketing boardroom ever. They can affect that brand on a day-to-day basis. Branding is organic. It's how you interact with people, right? I used to be in hiring. I used to be in HR. That's what I took in college. I used to hire. I had to get out of the industry because I realized I hate people, but I had to make a career change. I had to find an industry where hating people was an asset. So I got into marketing. So she goes through, I am furious. I go through the metal detector, I am still angry. I'm so furious, I create my shun list. You ever create a shun list? I will never fly Delta again. My son will never fly Delta again. His unborn children will never fly Delta. It's going in my will. If you want to make it up to me, I am a big deal on Twitter. You will need to give me my own plane. I want to sit on the pilot's lap. And I want 2 bags of pretzels when I ask for them, and no saucy look from you when I ask for 2 instead of 1. I'm now going to stay 16 today in anger, and I'm so furious I have to do the only thing an entitled social media celebrity can do, I tweet. And I say, Delta Airlines flight attendant pushes in front of me at JFK security. When asked for at least an excuse me, she replies, open your ears. I am so furious, I am so blind with rage, I misspelled Delta. Did you see it before I pointed it out? You didn't know. You didn't know. Delta replies 3 minutes later. They saw it. They have search settings saved up for blind misspellings of their name because people are so angry. I'm not talking about data. Smart thinking, folks. Nobody spells correctly when they hate you, right? So come up with these lines, right? Understand it. And 3 minutes later, they tweet to me, I'm truly sorry to hear this. We expect our flight attendants to be courteous at all times. Please accept my apology. I'm sitting at the gate when I get this reply. I sit there and I just look at it and I go, oh, if you think you're gonna, okay. That's okay. It wasn't a big deal. How are you? Like, it just totally disarms me. I've got nowhere to go, and I tweet back, well, that made me smile, thank you, you just diffused my anger. And it changed how I got on the plane. It changed how I got on the plane. And since this last year this happened, I have flown Delta 26 times in business class. That is worth some money to them, right? I don't know the exact dollar amount calculation ROI for you guys, and I know you like that type of stuff, so I can't give it to you. But I understand, I agree with people when they say there's no ROI in social media. I agree there's no ROI in Twitter. I am fully on that side of the panel here, okay? But there is an ROI in being awesome, being attentive, and being fast, and being authentic, and sometimes that happens on Twitter. You can use Twitter for the next 10 years and it won't do a thing for you. It's just a tool. It's just a tool. You use it right. But here's the key. If they sent this tweet, but instead of 3 minutes later, it was 3 hours later, would the impact be different?
Yes.
Yes. If they sent it 3 days later, makes it worse, right? And I went and wrote a blog post. It was going to be how much I hate Delta, right? And I wrote a blog post saying the one tweet that saved the entire brand for me. I wouldn't have written that post if it was 3 hours later. I would have been on the flight. Social media, authenticity is important. It's an overused term, but it is important. I agree with it. But key, and what we miss in social a lot of times, is immediacy is important too. Twitter is a reactionary platform. We react when we tweet. We react when we reach out. We react when we complain. So immediacy is huge. And if you don't have the resources, or the time, or the want, delete your account. I'm not being saucy about it or sarcastic. I mean, remove it. A dormant account you check every 3 weeks on Twitter is dangerous. It's dangerous for a brand. Be in the game or get out of the game. Because reaction is huge on it. We can use it for a lot of different things. Because this is what happens. We call it third circle. People see content and they say things. Let's say your brand develops something, okay? And the content hits the first circle, okay? And it goes out there. Okay, that's your content. And it hits the first circle. When you share your content from your personal, and it hits your friends, your fans, your subscribers, your customers. And then it hits the second circle. Okay, it's the second circle, and that's people you can't reach. Okay, that's your friends of your friends. And if they share the content, it is second circle. And when they share content, it is third circle. If you share content that is worth the content itself, it will reach circles you can't reach. If you share content that is self-serving or promotional a lot of the times, it will never get out of your first circle. You should create content that aims for the third circle, that goes unreachable to you. Let me give you an example. That's a watermelon. You get that. I don't explain that to you. It will only hit the second circle. My friends might like it because they're idiots. You know, you like it on Facebook. But it will never reach beyond the second. If I share a turtle carved into a fruit bowl from Pinterest, it may get shared. It's 1,100 retweets. Who here has a Pinterest account? Anybody? Hands up. Okay, good. Love it, right? Pinterest is like 97% women and me. Right, amazing. It's so good. So, here's a picture of a dog. Nobody's going to care about a picture of a dog. I don't care about your dog. You don't care about mine. That's how it works, okay? From a picture of a dog getting hit in the coin purse with a tennis ball. Didn't expect to see that much, did you? Second circle. Third circle. This is how it works, okay? Alright, this is how it works. We share stuff that makes us laugh, cry, it's silly, it's funny. The person beside you is not laughing. Could you explain this to me? I have some good friends in Wisconsin. I love them. This explains them perfectly. They changed the logo to this, and I saw that, and I'm like, what the why would you do that? Remember at the start of the talk, I said logos don't matter? This logo matters. It's the only one that matters. We're going to get to it in a little party. I want to make sure we get to it for you guys. I don't want to get to it and forget it. The last story I want to show you guys is the FedEx. And a lot of you saw this video, okay? This is where the FedEx guy just chucks the package over the fence and then walks away. Right, you guys saw the video. He throws it over, doesn't buzz, doesn't knock, doesn't do anything. He throws it and walks away. In the package is a computer monitor. Right? Now, it could be a pillow. Right? It doesn't matter. You don't. But who orders computer monitors? Geeks like me. Okay? There's two groups of people you never want to take off in this world. Geeks and moms. And if they're a geek mom, run. Run and don't look back. They will kill you, nurse you back to health, and kill you again. Okay, so be careful. So he chucks it, and geeks also patch into the recording system of the condominium and upload videos. And they uploaded this. This got 1 million views in an hour. It's the fastest growing video I've ever seen online. I've been online since '94. I've seen every video on the internet. Every video on the internet. It hurts. And I've never seen something grow so fast. Not Gangnam Style, not Evolution of Dance, not some stupid Harlem Shake video, nothing. So it went crazy, right? Because we were all outraged. And they wrote a blog post in response the same day. Remember EDC I said? Be quick. And FedEx wrote a blog post with the title, Absolutely Positively Unacceptable. That was the title. Absolutely Positively Unacceptable. And they apologized and they owned it. And they also put a video in there from Matthew Thopen, the frickin' third came out. They were generationally sorry. When it hits the fan, it's not time to hide behind the fan, okay? It's time to be awesome. FedEx made themselves look better than they looked before the screw-up. Say that again. FedEx made the brand look better than they looked before the screw-up. That's huge. The last tweet I want to share with you guys, Ben Seymour tweets out this morning, he worked with a food baby, and I think Taco Bell is the father. Which is a great lunch tweet. Now, it's the response I want to show you here, though. What do you do? A humor magazine has no rules. How do you respond? And Taco Bell responds the only way they possibly can by saying, I want a DNA test.
Thank you, Scott. Scott's going to be up the side here if you'd like to